Welcome back, everyone, to Backstage. I'm so excited for this next season and all the guests I'm bringing you. We have almost everything recorded and already vaulted up, ready to drop every Sunday night at midnight. I'm so excited. But for this first week's drop, you probably have already figured out that I bring my husband, Dustin, on to start every season. And this week's drop, we are bringing on our pastor, Pastor Steve Collins. And so you'll hear a lot of our story throughout the podcast, so I'm not going to get into all of the beautiful details of the relationship that we have with Pastor Steve and his wife, Lisa, who was in last season on one of the podcasts. But I know that you're going to really enjoy this. We don't talk just about ministry and building a church together and then transitioning roles together. We talk a lot about friendship. We talk about being in the trenches together. We talk about times the relationships might have been threatened or times that we were tested. And I am so excited for you to hear the details, especially between Dustin and Pastor Steve and how they have been through highs and lows and have never been closer, never been more connected, and have never been more surrendered to the Lord together. And so I'm so excited for you to hear this episode with Dustin and I's pastor and probably one of our favorite people in this entire world, Pastor Steve Collins.
Oh, nice. I got no notes, guys.
No.
I'm free for all.
No.
Just leaned in. Was I supposed to have notes?
I think I should probably ask about certain stories.
Nah, just don't say their name.
This is going to be a whole diss track.
Do you want this funny? Do you want it edgy? I just need to know that flavor.
I want it to be exactly what all of our relationship is.
Really?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
That's the whole. This is Backstage. Yes.
Okay.
No filters until I edit.
Okay. Now I'm
No, it
nervous.
has
Because-
been like the other two I did, like with her. It was like super easy. For a while, after a while, you just forget this.
And
thing.
here's
You're really nervous now, though.
No, I'm not.
With me. Yes, you are.
no. Well, and here's the thing.
Oh,
Here's
man.
the thing. Like when you're just chatting with friends,
Mhm.
you know, like everybody sees you too. Welcome, everyone, by the way.
Welcome. Oh, we're
I've got
we're
my
on?
husband's always. We're always on, Pastor Steve. I've got my husband here. If everybody hasn't figured out yet, I start every season with D.
That's
And so the
special.
first one was you and I. The second one was our therapist, Randy, and I, and you and I.
Yes.
The other one was Bianca, Dustin's assistant, and I. And now we have our pastor on.
He's here.
Yeah.
He's here,
Live
y'all.
and in the flesh.
Bottom of the barrel.
No, whatever. No. The top of the barrel.
Whatever that is. Thank the Lord.
But I think like people see you guys and the church is at a point now where everybody doesn't get to know us personally. And they know about you guys and your relationship.
Yep.
They know that Pastor Steve has saved our marriage at least 3 times by now.
I don't know about
This year.
that.
This year.
I don't know about that.
They know your friendship. They know that Pastor Steve is your best friend. They know the impact that him and Lisa have had on our life. Lisa came on the podcast last season. So they know all of the things that you hear from a stage. I want people to hear what our relationship is like with you as our pastor and with you two as really, I would say Pastor Steve's probably your best friend. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody.
Well, we are now.
We are
You
now.
just called
you
it.
just said it. Like
You
I
just
got-
called it.
I'm not supposed to say no.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I just looked at
Good setup, though. Wow.
I just saw this meme though, and it said, if you want 2 men to really open up, put 2 microphones in front of them and tell them it's a podcast and they'll start talking.
I don't know if that's working.
Yeah. I feel a little shut down
Me
myself.
too.
And why they're best friends, y'all. But I want people to see the behind the scenes on our relationship and especially you two, not only being like a pastor's ministry, the different like changes throughout like roles and stuff, but male friendships.
Right.
And like, I just really have been thinking a lot lately about women. I stereotype a lot on here, so it's not always the case, but women tend to form closer, more emotional bonds quickly. And men, it's like, let's go, to Pluckers and, whatever.
Right.
Eat wings and drink beer and throw darts, which these two have never done, I assure you. But I do think that you have a really special male friendship. That's rare. And so I'm curious to talk about male friendship as well. But before we get into all of that, most people listening know us and they know the story of, you founding the church, you transitioned the church to us. But can we just give them a quick overview of how that all happened? So starting, we are married 1 year. Dee and I are married 1 year.
1 year.
We meet. We come to Texas. Praise the good Lord in heaven. I will serve him forever.
And it was a day like today.
It was a day
about
like
100
today.
degrees.
Yep.
And y'all's air conditioner went out. And you were in the hospital.
And I was in the hospital with gallbladder surgery.
And the car broke down.
And the car broke down. And Pastor Steve's son was in tearing out carpet.
That's
on that
amazing.
house over on Creekwood.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
he was over there, Stephen, who's now a father of
Yes.
2 and a husband.
We had other guys in the church that were fixing the car
Yep.
in the hospital parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you were in the hospital.
Yeah, I was.
And
Yeah.
I remember the first night
Uh-huh.
you came back from the hospital and we were in the house and the AC had broke. And so I opened all the windows in the house. And I called,
that was going to do something.
I called Pastor Steve. I don't know if you
We're
remember
from
this.
Washington.
I called him. I'm like, man, our AC's broke. It is hot in here because it started raining. So I'd open up the windows and you were like, don't open the windows. We're from the Northwest. When it rains, open the windows, get some fresh air. Yeah.
So you've seen me in the hospital a few times now, Pastor.
Yes.
Because you were there for my gallbladder. You prayed me before the surgery. You prayed for me before the surgery, after the surgery. I think you were in the hospital for one of Dustin's hand surgeries or something. You were in the hospital.
And
you
some
and Lisa,
babies.
And some babies. And you were you and Lisa were in the
babies.
hospital for Jude and Jen.
Mhm.
And so just the hospital visits alone to tell people the depth of this relationship.
Right.
And that's just the top of the barrel
Right.
of all the. So, Pastor, when we met you, we were young. We were quite young, and you were really drawn to us. How would you describe that? What do you see in us? Because looking back at the time, I'm like, yeah, we're awesome. Looking back, I'm like, oh my goodness, what did Pastor Steve see in us? We were
Right.
clearly not that well.
No, y'all are awesome. Just like y'all are awesome now.
Thanks, Pastor. Give
I-
us a backstage picture on us as you knew us then.
Right. And I do remember Dustin came for an event by himself first, a youth event. And, we'd been praying. We literally moved to this location, believing for the next generation, and we didn't have a youth pastor. And so all my leaders come up to me and says, oh, this is the one. I'm like, well, do you understand? He lives in Washington. He works with his dad, who's the senior pastor there.
Yeah.
And so to me, it was kind of out of the realm.
Yeah.
And then the two of y'all came and y'all ministered. And I do remember it was really funny because it's not like I'm really prophetic, but I kind of gave y'all a word about this, what I see in you guys.
Yeah, you
and,
did. In your office over in Building A.
Right. And y'all were like surprised.
Shocked.
And I was like, do you understand the calling that the two y'all have? It was just, and it just was, everybody in the world saw it. It's not like I was major league prophetic. I was just throwing out the obvious, and y'all were like, what?
Yeah.
Really? And it probably just kind of where y'all were at that time.
100%.
Y'all were in transition. Y'all were, y'all just got married.
It was
Y'all
rough.
had a lot of stuff
We had a rough
going
first
on.
year.
Yeah.
And so y'all probably couldn't see beyond,
Right.
Jamie's messy car.
Yeah, at that point, I definitely could not see.
No, he couldn't.
We can talk about that later.
He couldn't see beyond me on a Sunday morning and be like, I think I won't go today. He's like, what?
Whoa.
You just don't.
We go to church.
Don't go to church because you're tired? Who did I marry? He's ready to
Unheard
divorce
of.
me on the first Sunday of our marriage.
A headache? Oh no, we're going to church.
Absolutely.
Now when I need to miss a Sunday, I just text Pastor, y'all.
Oh, I am a little softy.
Will you advocate for me, Pastor?
I am a little
text
softy.
Dustin, please.
man.
It's a real headache, I promise.
Well, and then after that time,
Yeah.
and I saw that in you guys, and I knew
Yeah.
that and I remember, and I don't have the whole thing in order, but we waited for 2 years for y'all.
Yeah.
I remember Lisa and I
Yep.
got a word,
Yep.
and I remember calling you and saying, "Hey, no pressure,
Yep.
but
Mhm.
we have no freedom to look at anyone else." And I understand you just pray through it, and if it happens, it happens. Doesn't, God will have to tell me something different. And eventually, I know that happened. But I do remember being at a restaurant and
Abuelos.
It was Abuelos when I said, so after, kind of trying to find out what's going on, and just eyes from outside tell me, trying to figure out how to grow this church, and just said, Dustin, what do you see? And I've just been praying about the church and just feel like, what was the word?
Disruption.
I keep getting the word disruption. And I'm like, yeah, that is a good word. And Lisa just could hardly not say, and she waited patiently. And then she was able to talk. She said, you said disruption. And she goes, you are that disruption.
And boy, was she profound.
Right.
In good ways.
That is true. It's been disrupted ever since.
Oh, you remember when it used to be peaceful?
Oh, man. Yeah.
So, long story short,
yeah.
You guys came, and that was, I don't know, I'm going to say 12 or 13 years ago.
13 years.
See how long y'all been married? It was a year after y'all were married, right?
Yep.
So 13 years?
Yeah, 13 years. I remember that when we were sitting in your office and you gave us that word originally, and you had your huge elk head sitting above your office.
Oh, yeah.
And,
because my wife wouldn't let me have it in the house. What kind of man am I?
That's a real, man, I want one of those elk heads. I'm going to get myself one.
You get permission from your wife to know where it goes first.
Get a bigger office to get it in
another
there,
building. We all know how not stressful that is.
But I remember you said, you were just encouraging us, giving us a word, and you said, it's just so obvious that you guys are stronger together. And that was the first time that we had ever heard that, because we'd each been strong in our own areas, in our own walk, singly, in our single lives. And then hearing that married, that was like really defining. We went back to that word so many times after that. I think it was real. That was when the Lord started planting the seeds that this is more than just God ministering to us. This is a place we need to be. And I think we were at breakfast one time. Trying to think the place you go, Poor Richards.
Poor Richards.
Oh yeah,
Poor Richards.
I'd never been in any place like that before.
That's serious Texas stuff there.
We went to Poor Richards. I think we had like a 3-hour breakfast or something, and just talked. And then I came back, and Jamie had I think we were staying at a hotel or something, and came back, and I said, oh, man, I think we're supposed to pray about this. We'd already been talking for over a year, so it's about time we prayed about it. But we prayed about it, started feeling peace, and then headed on down to the promised land, the Lone Star State.
And so our church was about 200 to 250 people at that time.
Yeah.
And so what people might not know is that even though y'all transitioned into leadership 7 years ago, y'all been here all the way from it being at 200, 250.
Right.
And whether I was the lead or Dustin was the lead, y'all have been part of the growth from the very beginning. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's crazy. So we just had people in town, and they were asking us, how long have you guys been in Texas? I'm like, oh my God, we have been here 13 years.
Y'all are Texans.
We're Texans.
Yeah.
And our boys are Texans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man.
For sure.
Crazy.
But I think, though, going all the way back to the first week, y'all wanted to leave after the first week, I think.
I may or may not have had a couple thoughts about going back home.
It was tough.
I was like, nothing will drag me from here.
Right.
I will die here today.
And we almost did.
At Allen Presby.
She was about to die.
Yeah. I mean, that was actually happening.
And I do remember the days when you used to like it, Jamie, really hot. Yeah, you've
I
changed.
used to love
103
it.
degrees.
Yeah, I guess hormones or something. What's changed?
Oh, yeah, pregnancy.
I mean,
I loved it hot, and now I hate it hot.
Right.
Yep, can't be cold enough for me.
Yeah, I think I probably spoke that on you because I hated the heat so much.
Yeah.
So
you needed to help donate to our air conditioning bill.
For real.
This girl frees you out of the house in a second.
But those were like such special times. And looking back, like we all went through things then that we would be like, oh, those were tough times. Until you compare them to 13 years later.
Yes, right.
And I think Dee and I were talking about it the other day, but he was talking, maybe you or somebody, it's like what we're going through now is going to be a dream in 13 more years. It'll just be so far gone, you know?
Right.
And then it was like the gallbladder was going out and we're all trying to grow the church. And then there were staff things and people trying to, you know, and just there were so many things at the time where we would have like not enough money for like microphones in the youth and not enough youth and not enough, you know, and now it's like, oh man, what we wouldn't give to go back to those problems.
Right. I understand.
You know?
What is it? Joyce Meyer says, new level, new devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of is that way. I want to talk about a couple things though.
Talk about it, Pastor.
Okay.
Talk about it.
Early on.
Oh,
okay?
I love it. Yes. I
Early
wanted to talk
I
about this.
think
Yeah.
it was
I'm
the
still wondering why you
second or third Sunday. Something like that.
we were
maybe
here?
Maybe it was a couple months into it, but it was new. And Dustin still tried to like impress me, kind of thing.
Yeah. He's putting his best foot forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember Lisa and I were at the end of the day, everybody was after the mess, everybody was walking out and having, you know, and we're saying bye to him. And Dustin, and you know, it's real congested in that building. And Dustin was right there. And so I look over at Dustin, and there was this young lady who was very, very nice, sweet lady. And she's just without heels, she's about 6 foot tall. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
And with heels, okay.
Oh, man.
And so I look over at Dustin, and she's a Texan. She likes to hug.
Of
and so,
course.
you know, our new youth pastor.
Yep.
So she just hugged him.
Wraps them up.
Right. And so I look over there and Dustin's not used to that kind of Texan hug, especially from a girl that's a lot taller than he is.
6'5".
Yeah.
She's about 6'5".
And his face was smushed on the chest, and he was looking at me like, am I getting ready to get fired? Either that or please help. But I'll never forget that. And it was one of the funniest things when I think about the early days. I think about that. And I also think about something else that's on me. And I remember one of the first nights that y'all had ratcheted this whole worship up and the youth up. And I mean, you know, Dustin, because he's been praying for 3 months, preparing, you know, and had his team
All
praying
ready to
3
roll.
hours a day. And, you know, got there early on Wednesday night, you know, all day they've been praying and fasting. And I show up, okay, and this just shows you just culture, different cultures. And I show up and Benjamin, our worship leader, our worship pastor this day, you know, he was leading worship and he had led worship at one of our Disciple Nows or one of our youth events, and it was, I mean, they did this one particular song. It was a worship song, you know, or I think it was a DC Talk song, and in the middle of it, they had this, you know, kind of these licks with And I didn't really know much about it, but it was of Metallica. Okay. I wasn't a Metallica person, didn't really know much. It was kind of like not my time, but it was really cool. I didn't know they were like demonic. And so I said, I want you to start off with that song. And if you could imagine, I know the staff right now they're just dying thinking about this. Imagining Dustin, he's all prayed up, ready to go. And I literally go in.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
And I said, not Dustin. He was surprised.
No, not to me.
I went to Benjamin.
To Ben.
And I said,
no, you commandeered.
Oh yes,
You commandeered
the first song
worship.
of the first big event of the movement. Okay, I had no idea. I mean, I was just
You got to play some of this devil music, Ben.
Yeah, and I didn't look at it that way, you know. And whatever kind of music it was, okay, it didn't matter because Dustin had things planned, and so
now we know he very much had it planned.
Yes,
now we know
and I just didn't know. I didn't, you know, it was different leadership styles,
of course,
and there was a conflict there, obviously, and so started playing. I remember Jamie, you and I are in the back, and they're playing, and the kids are going to the music. And Dustin comes back, and his face is red. I mean, I'm telling you, his face is red.
I did it.
I mean, for real. Let's blame it on Jamie. Come on. And he says, "What is he doing?" I mean, sweat going down his brow. He was, as hot as I've seen him. And he's like, "Why is he playing that?" And I'm like, uh-oh, I made a bad senior pastor move right now. And I said, okay. And I think I put my hand on his on his shoulder. I said, okay, Dustin, this is totally on me. This has not been. I made him do that song, and it was wrong. You planned this, and I remember I looked at you in the eyes. I said, that will never happen again, and I want you to know I'm sorry. And he took it.
Yeah,
he took it, and that kind of tells you a little bit about the honoring of our relationship.
100%.
I stepped out of bounds. Even as the position I'm in, it's still stepping out of bounds. It was wrong. But I was able to say I'm sorry, but and Dustin forgave me, and God moved, and Benjamin didn't get in trouble. Thank you, Benjamin. I took the heat, man.
Pastor Ben's two pastors are telling him to do two different things.
Could you imagine how uncomfortable he was?
Oh man.
Oh, knowing Pastor Ben too.
I don't know if he probably slept for a week.
It's so wrong. I cannot believe I did it.
But
sorry,
I can't
Ben.
believe you apologized for taking over as. Because now that Dustin, I bet you have a lot to say about this.
Right.
And how it speaks to your relationship. Because if you were to go into movement and be like, I don't want that to be that way to Pastor Cameron.
Yeah, I would never do that.
You wouldn't. I was looking, I'm like, I think you would, babe.
I don't know if you would.
I think you would. Talk about that aspect of your and pastor's relationship, though. That if your senior pastor would apologize to you.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean, there's so many things there that we can like unpack.
We need to unpack all of them.
Yeah,
all of them. It's going to be a 4-hour podcast. She's already told us 4-hour podcast.
Hey, this is the time of the year that's being recorded. It's about Pastor Steve and I's favorite time of year.
Yeah.
I mean, football season's about to start.
Yes,
hunting season's about to start. The fall, so we got a lot of things to talk about after this. But I think there's a couple things that were really key in those early years that I saw in Pastor Steve that really have defined the way that I lead now and our friendship. And one of those was the honor he showed me as a youth pastor of saying I'm sorry or whatever.
Like horrible.
But he was. I mean,
I'm sorry now. I still want to say I'm sorry.
Sorry, and it was your church.
It's your church. I work.
It's it's just you. I wish everybody could see Pastor right now.
It's just so wrong. I feel red. I mean, I can't believe I did it. It's just like I put Ben in the bad place. I put Dustin in the bad place.
Of this, though, is unheard of. Oh my word!
I took y'all spiritual. Dustin been fasting and praying. Whoop, Metallica. Just took it out, man.
The only thing that would have been worse if we played like Star Wars or something.
Oh my goodness!
You would have left then.
JB would have gone. This is awesome.
It's for real.
You're also the one that told him to play Talladega Nights clip that one time.
Oh hey, just a second.
You can't let that one out of the bag.
Just a second. This needs to be edited because no.
Okay, D. Well, you think about because I want you to really unpack some of that with your guys' relationship. Though, side note, Pastor Dustin was. You were still the lead pastor, and he was preaching for you on Sunday, right?
Yes.
Christmas, and he was preaching on baby Jesus, and so you guys were talking like you do every single week. They've met every single week for the last 13 years, and he's going over, I'm guessing, the message, and he's like, "There's this hilarious baby Jesus clip from Will Ferrell's Talladega Nights."
Yes,
and pastor's like, "Do it, play it."
100%.
How many people left the church that Sunday?
Hey, it doesn't matter. Let's just say people were not thrilled. There were some people that weren't thrilled.
Hey,
it's still funny.
Too, it's still funny.
It's still funny.
Hey,
and it was a good illustration.
It totally. I mean, you think about it, and the people who got upset, actually, they were watching the movie, and
they knew the other parts.
They know the movie.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. Was the clip that illustrated the message?
Right.
I didn't even see the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. That was funny.
Man. We could literally tell stories for
a few emails about that.
Hours.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, do you talk
Hopefully
about
they got
that?
set free. Maybe we set them free.
That's what I'm
religiosity.
Can we say that?
If there's one thing you guys aren't, it's religiosity. You're not full of religiosity.
Yeah, I think but those early years, I think a lot of my leadership was reactive, defensive, maybe from insecurity or from just trying to figure my own identity out. And what Pastor Steve exemplifies is confidence.
Yes.
And so it's no problem to humble himself and apologize. Hey, I shouldn't have, commandeered your first big event, which is like obviously sabotage, quench the spirit
For real, the whole thing.
But I think I started to catch that from you, that I don't have to always dominate or take over. Or I remember one time, I don't think you remember this because you were like introducing me for something, and I was on stage with you, but I was nervous, and so I had this like nervous,
you like a tick,
like a tick. I would say something like kind of like swallow loudly, like
that was it. Yep, right there.
And we were in the service. It's a Sunday service. You're introducing me. Everyone's out there, and you turn around and go, man, you must be nervous. Keep on making all those noises.
No, I did not.
That was our first Sunday.
That was it the first Sunday?
No wonder they wanted to leave. What kind of pastor does that?
But it was...
No, but I know exactly where you're going with this.
I say it like as a joke because that's crazy to me to think back even on those times. And there was a lot of... There's nerves. There was anxiety. I wanted to do well, wanted to please you, wanted to please people. Insecurity, feeling like I had to really establish myself as a leader and as the leader. And I think over the years, and we didn't have like a ton of conversations where you said, hey, you need to knock that off or you need to be more confident. But I think watching you lead helped just like that stuff come off. Where I could just sit in my own call, in my own anointing, in my own lane and be okay. And I actually was talking with one of our pastors this week and he goes, the craziest thing, it's probably the best compliment I ever got. He said, the craziest thing about you is you are not threatened by anyone.
That's so good.
And I was just like,
wow.
Man, that's wow, because knowing 13 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, you were.
Yes. Absolutely. But
wow.
I think it's some things are caught, not taught.
Yep.
And I think that's something I caught from you is that some people do things better than me, and that's okay. And I can empower them and lead them. I don't have to try to establish myself,
dominance,
my leadership. Gift makes room for you. You can lead with grace. You can humble yourself. You can apologize. So I think that's something like getting older. I like getting older and settling into some of those things that you don't have to vie for that. And I think even in us, you transitioning the church, jumping ahead a little bit, but
we can go all over.
You transitioning the church to us, that was such a surreal time of life to think about now looking back about the enormity of that decision to say, we see something in y'all. We want you to take this thing. Yeah. And I remember we were at Texas Land Academy.
No, we went up.
We upgraded.
For the transition talk, you went to Texas Land Cattle. Okay.
Sweet potato with the cinnamon butter.
Oh, yeah.
Those are good old days.
So we're there and we're talking. And I remember you said, Dustin, I feel like the Lord told me to give you the church. And if I felt like I was going to win more people to Jesus in the next 10 years than you, I would stay the pastor.
Right.
I'm not burnt out, not exhausted. I would keep doing it. He goes, I feel like the Lord told me that you're the guy. And I remember I went back and talked to Jamie. I was so floored by that humility before the Lord, obedience, that just gave us so much confidence in taking it and stepping into that next assignment. And I think a lot of my leadership I've caught in the journey of just humility and
no ego.
Not operating out of ego, of celebrating others.
Yes.
Even with other churches in the city. Like I just had lunch with a pastor in the city, and I was so happy for him and for his church, and was able to legitimately from a good heart help, cheer on. And I think that's just something that I've caught from you. It's not I don't know. I've never seen you threatened by anyone. Right. And I love that.
I'm sure I am. My wife.
Only one. There's
Lisa.
only one.
For sure.
Oh, man.
With that kind of confidence, because I think sometimes males think like alpha is, I'm the man around here. You know, they walk into the room and they're then, you know, they have an attitude. And so everybody kind of gets scared. And that's like the way to assert dominance and confidence, quote marks. And I think what Dee's describing, which I 100% attest to, Pastor, is you've always you could walk in a room and not say anything and nobody could even talk to you and you'll just sit there on your phone and exude confidence. You could be asked to speak and you will do it and exude confidence. And it's a deep down thing. It's not it's not a forced thing.
Right.
You don't, and where do you think, now we're going to go back to your childhood.
Right.
We're going all over the place. Where does
I think you talked about that before. Like,
where does it come from?
Was it your dad?
Absolutely.
Was it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do a quick parenting lesson for all of us.
Remind me of that.
Okay.
But I do want to go back to, I do think that, Dustin, what you're talking about is one of the keys to why our transition works. And because we genuinely, when you win, I actually feel like I win.
Right.
And when I win, I'm sure you feel
100%.
like right.
Yep.
And so to me, it's one of those, if you don't have that, the transition is going to be pretty hard.
Yes.
I mean, if there's something in you that when somebody is winning in the kingdom and you don't feel like you're winning and it's competitive, you probably need to not transition or go to different churches or something because it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Or either that or repent and ask the Lord to change your heart on it.
Yeah.
So I just think that's one of the major keys of why our transition works and why we thrive today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll get back to more of how your relationship thrives and friendship. But talk about that confidence.
Yeah. And honestly,
I'm
just straight up honest. I think I come across more humble than I am. I do. I know
it's a humble thing to say.
It is. I feel like I feel like there's a little bit of a front there, and I don't mean it to be. I know there's some genuine humility, and I do, and people will see that, but I will tell Lisa, then she goes, "I know you, and that's not true." I'm like, but I know me, and I still know there's just all kind of flesh in me, But part of flesh, you die to flesh.
Right.
If you're living, you've got flesh, and so you die to it. Okay, so confidence.
Okay, but I'll say on that before you say that. I wonder if that's some of it though.
Yeah.
The key to humility is you really do see yourself as not all that. Like
Check yourself.
You have weakness. You have you have an ego. But you check it, which really would be I guess what meek, strength under control.
Yep.
And maybe that's the fuel of the humility is not saying, I've really figured out humility, but I'm humble because I really know
But that's such a thin line. Because on the wrong side of that line, it's like, I am just trash. I'm nothing.
Right.
I will,
Yeah, I never am that.
Exactly. But a lot are one or the other. They think they're better than everybody out of pride, or they think they're trash and will never amount to anything. How do you walk that line, and what fueled you to do that?
So that's why I say sometimes the humility thing, it's the weird thing of really feeling like there's some genuine humility there, but also feeling like I really like myself.
Yes.
Right.
I think I got it going.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know how to say it other than that. I mean,
I was raised to really like myself too.
Right. So
I felt that.
I like myself, and I
have something to offer.
My dad told me from the beginning that, that God's made you special for a purpose. And I remember, always. I remember one time. I have a reading disability, and I still struggle with reading. And so, if you've ever given me a book, I probably haven't read it. Okay, so
you haven't read all the Harry Potters?
That needs to be. That we definitely need to be cut that out. Go back to my message 2 weeks ago when I was preaching to Jamie Bates.
Pastor and I disagree on a couple things in life. It's fine. It's fine. Healthy friendships, y'all.
Now, when you said Harry Potter, I start saying, I got in the name of Jesus.
He's fasted and prayed for me a few times.
But I do remember that I was, I was in junior high, and I was reading more, and I was never an A student, but I did make the honor roll one time, okay, no C's, and which is a big deal for me. It was a big deal, and and I remember my dad always telling me, and there's nobody in that class smarter than you, son.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, 3/4 of this class is smarter than me.
Dad?
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? But in his mind, he was speaking it. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no limit.
Yeah.
And now when he's saying smarter, I'm sure if he was here, he would say, no, I know academically, taking the ACT test, but as a leader, as a person, as a knowing people, getting people to do things, I think he would say that. But those are the kind of things he would just, in my athletics, he would always say, you're the best, you can do this, always challenge me, to be the best. And I remember, regularly, every birthday, I'd have the dad speech. Everybody knows. And that he would lean across the table, after we ate our entree, we were getting ready to have dessert, and he'd look at me and he'd say, son, and it was just the three of us, mom, dad, and me. And then I have 4 sisters. And so for their birthdays, they got to do it too. And he'd say, son, I want you to know God created you special. And when he gave us you, we gave you back to him. And we said that you're on loan with us, but God's got a special plan for your life. And there's going to be things that you're going to do that nobody else in this world can do. Some of those years, I was just an absolute hellion, and he's speaking that to me.
Right.
Right. Some of the years I was doing better and he was speaking,
Yeah.
But there's no reason my dad would even think that. So just speaking that into me, and I guess
That's
just
so good.
athletics and just naturally, having success. I guess the whole thing is I feel like I know who I am, who I am in Christ,
Right.
but also what my natural giftings are, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
That's really good.
I try to not set myself up to do things that I'm not really good at.
That's so good.
Why would I waste a bunch of time in the kingdom to do a bunch of things I'm not good at when I could be doing some things that would be advancing the kingdom better? So
that's
So
so
good.
good.
Really good.
As far as you guys working together, because Pastor Steve is like, he's your pastor, he's your accountability, he's your oversight, he's your covering, but also a friend.
Absolutely.
What was it like? Because, was it hard for you, or did it take time to really trust him and to open up and to be like who you? Because I think that you're probably the most real with Pastor.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably more than me sometimes, just because wives don't need to hear some stuff, or you might spare
always
me.
real with you.
Well, you may delay it for the sake of my mental health.
Completely.
hey, a marriage counseling appointment is breaking out right now.
But I think you could tell Pastor anything,
Right.
and it will go nowhere. He will have your back. He will cover you. He will. Did you feel that from day one, or how was that fostered? And for people who don't, because I hear a lot of people say, I just wish we had a Pastor Steve and Lisa. I just wish we had a Pastor Steve and Lisa. And I actually hear that a lot. You guys have Pastor Steve and Lisa, and just that safe place.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lot. There's so much there. 13 years of relationship. But I think that I think it changed throughout the years. And I don't know if we'd call ourselves friends 10 years ago as much as he was my pastor.
Yeah.
And I looked up to him,
serving his vision.
Exactly. I think friendship was slowly attained over the years that we're in the same fights together. And I think
you're always on the same side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we are.
You go through enough, challenges and enough, you're in enough foxholes, and you look around and see who's with you. And we've been
It's
there.
always you two.
We've been there together.
Yeah.
And for each other in different ways.
Yeah.
Like when he was lead pastor and I was youth pastor.
Yes.
There was a lot of times that we found ourselves in the foxhole together. And then vice versa. Now he's founding pastor and I'm lead pastor, and multiple times we're in the foxhole. So I think in the beginning it started out like I really looked up. I admired the confidence. I admired his leadership as a pastor, really respected him, and came in with the intention of I'm going to do this right. Even after working with my dad, And being, arrogant and feeling like I knew how to do everything on my own. I'm like, okay, I got to do this better than what I did with my dad. I've got to do better of just like serving someone else's vision, because I had my vision and my ideas. And so I remember that first year or something, you guys did the Christmas parade.
This is a great story. Tell this. This
Pastor
is so
Steve
great.
was like, I've told
great.
this before, like in messages, but Pastor Steve was like, hey, I want you to do, we build a float for the parade, for the Christmas parade.
The Allen City Christmas parade. There you go.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't do parades. And
Can you imagine?
he said, we do, we're doing a duck blind on one of the floats. We want the youth to do one. And picture this. We got youth up there. I'm like, man, I'm not the guy that's going to be up on a float waving, throwing candy to the crowd. And I remember, it's so silly now looking back, but I had a struggle. Like, I did not want to be on that parade. I did not want to build a float. I did not want to go wave at people. And
side note, I will say that I guarantee you didn't say that to anybody else.
yeah, no one ever heard that for sure.
No, and
For
there's
sure.
Matter of fact,
let's side note that real
it's
quick.
First time hearing it right now. I'm offended. No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
No, but that's
you would not
right.
have said that to
No,
anyone else.
I didn't
and that's
breathe that
if
to
you want
anybody.
healthy relationships, y'all. If you want healthy friendships, there's so
it.
many clues in this conversation. Like you were
We
struggling.
actually built a good
It was
float, and
killer.
we
It
won
was
the
a killer.
trophy.
By the
It was a
way,
killer
we did
float.
get first place.
First place.
First place in Allen. Yes, we did.
That's what I'm talking. No participation trophy either.
No,
That
it was the
real
real
deal.
thing. 5 people came that Sunday and they got saved.
Yeah,
No,
come on.
no, they didn't.
I was like,
no,
maybe.
I'm joking.
I was
like, I forgot
That's how
part.
things gotta go for us around here.
I'm sure we do it again.
We gotta bring the parade back.
But you didn't go and gripe to somebody else or go to the assistant pastor at the time who would have loved to have heard some griping, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not editing that.
Yeah.
And pastors,
So, anyways,
you kept it.
well, so what
You
happened
struggled
was,
through yourself.
I think that I had like a.
I'm giggling.
This is my room. Y'all are my mercy. These two have embarrassed me enough, y'all. This is my turn now to make them sweat. Anyways, though, the flow.
I think there was a lot of tests initially
Yes. Yep.
for me to decide kind of where I wanted to be in my relationship with Pastor Steve.
Yeah.
Did I want him to be a boss, or did I want to really honor the relationship that God brought us into?
Mhm.
And I think we had decided early on that come hell or high water, we're going to honor the relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think I felt trust from Pastor
Yeah.
and belief in me that he really saw giftings
Yeah.
and he really loved me.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
I saw, I really chose to trust his leadership and build his vision.
Yeah.
And we really put our heads down, and so we're gonna build the church. And I think that there were some defining moments in there of me, Pastor Steve, making sure I knew that he supported me, that he loved me, and that was a safe place to grow, to fail. At the same time, then we decided we're going to grow the church, and we weren't interested. We're not just trying to grow the youth ministry.
Yeah.
Right.
We're trying to expand his vision.
Yeah.
So I think early on, it just became mutually edifying to both of us.
Yeah.
Is like, man, we're here helping build the vision. He's invested in my confidence and my anointing and teaching me as a pastor. And then I saw his relationship with Lisa and your guys' marriage. And I think that was like really inspiring for us just to see the health and the way you ministered together. And so if we're talking about mentoring, like I would say, like, you choose to serve someone else's vision, but then I saw some stuff in him that I wanted in me. And so we built together. And I don't think I was ever like, hey, can we meet this week? Can we meet next week? And can I have some time?
Right.
We built.
Right.
We put our heads down and we worked.
Yeah.
And you invested in me, and you would call me in and invest. So I like to think that besides some mistakes and some naivety and passion, that I didn't cause too many problems, but that I aided what you were doing.
Absolutely. And a lot of times I'll talk about leading up, and you did a fantastic job of leading up, and you were able to make changes in the church that needed to be made. Okay. without disrespecting me.
Mm.
You were still able
Wow.
to respect me,
Yeah.
but you were able to point things out to say this. We could do this even better.
Wow.
We could do this even better. And
Can you remember any of them? Things that he implemented?
well, our worship team.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, worship team. Yeah, and
So he would just come to you. For any
and
youth pastors listening that just want a good relationship, with their
yeah.
For the youth pastors out there,
lead
let me just tell you,
pastors.
be careful before you go throwing your opinion around.
Not everybody's a pastor, Steve.
That is true.
That's
I think we need to
exactly
wipe the
right.
whole team and just start from
We have a few staff members
But
because they
joined
did
us.
that earlier. That joined us now. Yeah.
But Pastor, you kind of like the exact same question to you is why did you trust him? Because
Well-
you're smart enough and you've been in this long enough to know that like some yahoo might come through here and throw out ideas. Why'd you trust his?
Well, he never gave me any reason to doubt that he was not for the vision.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
and he knew that I was willing to change. He he came and that's one of the things you need to understand where you are in the structure and the time of the church as well. He came and basically he came to be a change agent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I asked him to be a change agent.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I literally would
Yeah.
have to call him aside
Yeah.
because he would try to fit into our box
Mhm.
and I would draw a box. And I
Mhm.
said, this is our church and this is where we've been, for 15 years. I want out of the box and you're here to help us get out of the box.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was heavy. I'm sure it was
Mhm.
heavy on him. He
Mhm.
wasn't used to that. And he's probably has like, I'll have to see about that.
Mhm.
But I continued
Yeah.
to say, hey, stop with this the way we do it here. We need it beyond. I need you to come and bring you. So
Mhm.
not every youth pastor, is been brought in to be a change agent, and you need to know that.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's
Right.
great though.
Right.
That's great.
And if you're not, then don't
Yeah.
be one.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of youth pastors that are very jealous right now that they didn't
what
have a
you-
Pastor Steve. They're
I
just
think
dying to
almost
be out of the
everybody in the
box.
whole world is jealous
Yeah,
they
yeah.
haven't had a pastor, Steve.
But it's funny, Pastor. Like I remember that so clearly. You saying that, and maybe that's some of the beauty of the relationship. Is I wanted to be in the box, so that I didn't dishonor you,
Right.
and you wanted me to be out of the box,
Mhm.
so that we could grow.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a powerful
Yeah.
dynamic. And I'm convinced that we had success in the youth ministry because we were covered by a leader that
Mhm.
said, go do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Be out of the box, go after it, go after the school, go after these
Mhm.
things. And I think to lead pastors out there, if you're hearing this, that might be a really important thing to do in your organization is really consider finding some people that you can let to help you out of the box
Mhm.
and give them the freedom to do that. It's funny. I have that same conversation now.
That's
This
right.
is like,
I was gonna say you
Yeah,
were
so-
just talking to me about you now looking for people.
yeah, I literally
To be
to
that
two
for
of our
you.
guys on
Yep.
staff, I had the same conversation and said, listen, I'm getting older and
Yep.
you can't be in the box
Mhm.
and ride what we've been doing. We have work to do. We got people to reach.
Mhm.
So you got to get out of the box. And so I'm passing on that
That's so good.
that
good.
illustration.
That's so good. And there's nothing to do with rebellion with this. Not like these guys are like now, hey, I get to go do what I want to do.
Yeah.
They know your heart.
Right.
You knew my heart.
Yep.
You
Mhm.
you knew where we wanted to go generally,
Right.
but why would I think I know about youth pastoring
Mm,
when you're all in it,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those were good times.
And
I
there
think
were some,
that-
oh yeah, no.
I think the evolution of the friendship
Mhm.
really just over the years after it was this good working together, I think real trust was built as we walked through the transition on my
Mhm.
side.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When pastor
And
decides
by the transition, we're talking about transitioning the church from Pastor Steve to
Yeah, when
Right.
Pastor Steve and Lisa decided to give the church to Jamie and I, that was like a real, I couldn't believe it that they were doing that. Pastor and Lisa were young. And like, I mean, you were 50, right? when you decided to give us the church?
So I'm 58, so 50, 51.
51.
Well,
So
it
we
took us
started
2
there.
years
young.
before.
Yeah, so we started that at 49.
Yeah, we were talking about
which
it
is
before.
crazy.
8 years from me.
Mhm.
Wow.
Right. So I think that was like, wait a second.
Wow.
This guy really believes in us.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of like weight with
Yeah.
that of wow.
Yeah.
We've got to steward this
Yep.
well. But then I think we transitioned. We start moving forward. We're building a building, all of this.
Uh-huh.
And the way Pastor Steve
Mhm.
championed us in those years, as we were
Mhm.
seeing aggressive growth, the church is exploding. We're building the building that he had the plans for, that he's with us. And he was as involved or as little involved as I needed him to be. And even took a step away, him and Lisa, to make sure that the transition happened effectively.
And didn't you say, please don't go?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Until this.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is really interesting because when we did transition, okay,
Mhm.
you know, Lisa and I didn't know if we were going to stay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because we didn't want to stay.
For sure.
But, you know, and we could get as detailed on the transition I want to with literally, we had conversation for a year of you and I did, of detail, every possible scenario.
Yeah.
We put it on paper. We put it on a contract.
Mhm.
And most of the things I'm bringing up going, okay, I know what it feels like to be a head pastor, lead pastor. I wouldn't want somebody in my church to do this. And so like little things that are not little, but like I don't meet with people that in groups of 10 in my own house. I don't go gathering a group because it makes lead pastors feel uncomfortable.
You put so you're putting these restrictions on yourself.
On myself.
She put him on herself.
Right.
Yes.
And if I was
I have not heard this.
Oh yeah, if I'm
Oh
ever
my
to
goodness,
if I'm ever
Pastor.
to start
Like, go
if
start.
I was ever to go start a church, I think it's like a 20-mile radius or something.
Right.
Whatever I would have wanted as
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could be.
yeah.
Right. And so those things, to me,
Mhm.
that builds trust.
Yep.
When you sit around
Yeah.
and you talk about these things, and when, and people think about, changing the name of the church. Well, we talked about that
Even before.
way before we transitioned.
Yeah.
He said, what do you think about the name of the church? I said, you can change it. It's you're going to be the lead pastor. But all that to say is we didn't know for certain if we were going to stay because we wanted you guys to make sure that there was no doubt who was in charge.
Yeah.
And I remember you came back after and said, hey, talk to Jamie. We want to just co-pastor. And I'm like,
Yeah.
could you imagine that? How would Dustin be as co-pastor? Yeah, I don't think that'd work.
Oh man.
And of course I said, no, there needs to be one head and that's it. And so came back the next week and said, okay, I think the Lord might be saying it. And said, and I remember the first time I brought it up, it was like, oh no, Pastor, this is your church. No, he wouldn't even think of it. No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you need to go home this week and go talk to Jamie and y'all pray about it. And so then the next week it was co-pastor. And the next week was, okay, but we want you to stay. And I'm like, I took that tongue in cheek, just that's a nice thing. It's honoring. And Dustin knows he's got very good people skills.
Yes, honoring person.
And,
yeah,
it's what you do. But it was probably, I'm serious, somewhere between 2 and 3 years after the transition. And Dustin multiple times, and you going to Lisa, meeting with Lisa and saying, we love y'all, we want y'all here. And Dustin saying, hey, we need you, Pastor, and I mean, because
those were not platitudes.
Right. And I pulled
It was 100% authentic.
Right. And y'all, but we did,
Yeah.
we just don't know.
Yeah.
You'd think.
And that was really gracious
and,
of you guys. Yeah.
I pulled myself off the board, I wanted to make, and then what was really cool is, and I said, Dustin, you need to find your own board. And then Dustin came back the next week. He goes, your board's good. They've been working great for you for 15 years. They'll work great for me. Now, do you understand? I mean, pastors are hearing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're not a pastor, you don't know. They're sweating. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it was a total way of saying, I'm all in. I'm not about controlling this place.
Yep.
And I'm like, are you sure? I said, because you can, And so there was that from the beginning. Where was I? I was going with the
I'm asking you to stay.
yes. Yeah. And so finally, I remember, I don't know if I told you this, but I went home to Lisa and I said, okay, they really want us to stay. I'm absolutely positive they want us to stay. It's probably something blew up and I was helping you at the time or something.
Probably.
Something. I don't know what it was, but it was something that you genuinely were sharing with me. And I remember you looking at me and saying, Pastor, we don't ever see a time where we're pastoring and you and Lisa aren't here.
Yep.
And I was like, what?
Yep.
You know? And so we're still here.
Praise God.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the good Lord.
And we still don't see anytime in the future with you guys not here.
And Lisa and I love it. And so we don't feel, and it goes back to knowing your call, knowing what you're good at. And I mean, you guys are so much better at different things than we are. And Dustin is so much better when it comes to systems. And I mean, he's a phenomenal preacher. He's a leader. I mean, I will sit in staff meetings and there's not a staff meeting to go by. And, you know, you and I sit together and Jamie and I do in the corner. And I'll look at you multiple times. I'm like, he is so good.
Yeah.
He is so good. I learn things from him all the time. And then what's interesting, he'll be preaching and he'll preach something, whether I said it or not.
That came from you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I'm like, and I know that so we influence each other.
Yeah.
And
Big
so,
time.
Once again, we win. When he wins, I win.
And I think that's like just so lost in church culture is just kingdom mentality.
Yep.
And we talked about this early on in the transition is I don't have to build my own thing. I can build on your thing. And if we're both obedient to the Lord and obedient to the vision God's put in our heart, this thing's going to work on your thing. I don't have to tear down all these years of sowing and all these years of prayers and start Dustin's thing over here. We're on the same team.
Right.
And I think we really saw that.
Yeah.
And then, so I think once we took over and then Pastor Steve and Lisa just decided to really believe us and stay and come back, which is crazy. We were out of room. We were planting Wiley campus and
I was on you. We
got to have
Dustin, you got to start satellite campuses. This is crazy. Every week we're meeting. I'm saying you've got to start
4 services, whatever it was.
It was just too much for you.
It was crazy. And I told Jamie, I said, I'll start a campus. I just need a campus pastor that I can trust. I need somebody on that first one that shows stability and leadership. And she goes, well, if you could have anybody, who would you pick? I'm like, well, if anybody was on the table, I would ask Pastor Steve to do it. But how could I ask the founding pastor to campus pastor our first campus? And she's like, you should just ask him.
Right.
And so we sat down and I'm like, I was like embarrassed to even ask, man, this is your church. What would you ever? And you and Lisa were you prayed about it, whatever, jumped. So most people don't know that our first campus was not, our church was founded by Pastor Steve and Lisa, but our first campus was founded by them as well. And for 2 years, right?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Just pastor that campus.
Wow.
And so I think different seasons, different levels of friendship. But I think this last, 2-3 years, I think it's settled into a real, not only do I look up to him, but this is something that we see long-term of deep friendship. Yeah. And I think it was one-sided in a lot of ways of Pastor Steve being a mentor to me and a hero to me and pouring into me. And then as we've grown, it's begun to be reciprocal, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Dustin's got such phenomenal giftings, and he's always like, he sees the best in Lisa and me and the ministry and our future. And he's like, just tell me. We have all these resources. Just tell me. And he just needs to cattle prod me a little bit more, and get me going. So I was thinking about this, that we respectfully challenge each other.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
But we also open up to each other. and it's not just one-sided. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, even this past year,
Mhm.
I remember going in and going, Dustin, honestly, I don't know what to say, but I'm just in a funk spiritually.
Yep.
You know, you can't go telling a whole bunch of people that.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Right.
certain things that we can talk about that only he will understand or only I will understand.
100%. Yep.
And getting to the friendship thing, I want people to understand we don't go do lunch every week. And
Right.
this
No.
friendship, he doesn't have time for that kind of friend. I don't have time for
Right.
Totally.
we're not needy in the sense that we have to spend time together. I mean, I don't call him every week, every day, every week,
Right.
you know. I mean, I might text him like fun stuff or something, you know, or you know. And so we don't have this friendship. The four of us,
Yep.
I think, have been to dinner 2 times,
maybe.
and
Right.
you know, but you know, Lisa, you and Lisa have gotten together. You know,
My mama bear.
Dustin and I have gotten together. You know, and then when we go through tough times, we're together. When there's joy, we celebrate together.
Yep.
And so it's not a friendship like what some people might think.
I think that's really good to touch on. Yeah.
But
We
it's
don't vacay.
healthy. No, we don't. No,
Right.
no, we don't.
Right.
None of that.
I mean, I
And
will if you want.
we will too. I remember one day I was preaching and you were listening. You're probably in Hawaii or something. And I was preaching and I said something about our friendship. And I explained a little bit about that. Now, we're not friends. Like, we don't go, you might think we, and I finished preaching the first service and I go in and Dustin said, that was an awesome message, Pastor. He goes, maybe we need to go do lunch more. And I mean, but that was endearing. Like,
Totally.
you know,
Yeah.
and we do love being together. But when we do meet, because we have so much we want to talk about, business, fun, everything. Just, I mean, sports, and poor Bianca, you know, Dustin's assistant.
Schedule's out 4 hours.
Could you imagine? She had
No, she does not give us 4 hours.
She doesn't.
4 hours.
Right? We could, and so she has to come in.
Always tell you guys to stop.
Yes. How would you like that job? Founding pastor and lead pastor. You come in, Pastor Dustin, your next appointment's here. Pastor Dustin. And she thinks it's me all the time, but it's not me all the time.
That is true. That is true.
I
Both.
100%
I let her believe it's you all the time.
I
We
believe
both love each other and like talking.
Let me tell you one more thing, Pastor.
Well, a couple months ago, he was supposed to be home at like 7.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah, that was.
And I'm
It's
like,
after a board
where?
meeting.
Yes. And
Yes.
I'm tracking. I'm like, are you still at the church? And then I get worried when he's still at the church. So I'm like, what's happening? Are
Right.
things okay?
Mhm.
Did something go wrong? You know, is the board okay? Are we
Yes.
all okay? And he's like, oh, sorry. 2 hours later, it was with Pastor Steve.
I think it was 11 o'clock.
I
Oh,
think
it was.
I
Yeah.
was in
bed.
the
I was
parking
like-
lot.
Yeah.
No sexy time for you, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Just threw it out.
Act
Boom.
shocked. Both of y'all
Hey,
just act so shocked.
My
after all
alarm
the
clock
things
is
you
9
say.
o'clock. And if I'm not home by 9 o'clock, then I just assume I can be home at 1 a.m. because it doesn't make any difference.
It's so
Is
true.
it you or her?
Her.
It's so true.
So her alarm clock is not.
Yeah.
So true.
I was like,
Shop
once the
cl-
board meeting went past 9, I was like, I can stay with
It's
Pastor
over.
Steve all
But
night.
never in a million years would I be upset about that.
Mhm.
You know, and from like his wife's perspective, like I'm like, man, if you're with Pastor Steve, like talking, that's, I'm not being funny. It's going to sound funny, but I'm not. It's like there's a load that comes off of him with you
Mhm.
that I won't have to bear.
Mhm.
You know, and that's like really important to me. And then he's getting to be with somebody who I trust, who I love, who loves me, who loves our marriage, champions our marriage. He's not if he's talking smack about me, you're going to correct him.
Right.
Yep.
If he's acting a fool, you're going to correct him. If he has serious like grievances, you're going to counsel him. I just know that when he's with you, he's in a solid place,
Right.
you know? And I wish that for every wife.
Mhm.
Right. I think that's a really like powerful point, James, is that I think for a lot of marriages, like a wife maybe would want to be the only
Mhm.
outlet or
Mhm.
source of friendship or
Yep.
a confidant and whatever. And the fact that you have that confidence, but you really trust what happens
Oh,
in the interactions that
Beyond,
I'm going
yeah.
to be a better man,
always.
that I'm going to be a
Yep.
better husband,
Yep.
and I think that's a real powerful element.
Mhm.
And I think I think that's that's an interesting part of our friendship as well, is that we're challenging each other to be better.
Yes.
And that I can be vulnerable about doubts or fears or whatever. And it's not, we're never going to be bad mouthing you or people or whatever. He's going to challenge me to be a better person, to love better, to lead better. And that's, the other thing I was going to say on that is that we have an agreement.
Oh,
that
yes. Talk
if
about that.
If I'm not,
this is important.
If I'm not loving you the right way, or I'm not treating you right, if I'm coming home stressed, or I'm there's some lack, or I'm messing up, I'm doing something wrong, that you at any time have free access to go to Pastor Steve and rat on me.
Yeah.
And I have.
And you have. And it's not ratting. She's just sharing.
Right.
And sharing's a good word.
Yeah. And there are times where she'll go to Lisa, and knowing that it's going to come to me. There are times where she'll come to me. There's times that she will put us on a group text, right? You know, and but she
depending on the situation.
She just has an outlet.
I do.
You know, which is a real safe place to be.
But you have set that up.
Yes.
Okay. Because some guys get all
don't
offended.
talk about me.
Right,
don't talk about what happens in the house.
Right. And because you're secure in who your relationship is with Jamie. And it's a healthy thing to say, hey, you can talk to them. Now, Jamie doesn't go talk to other people.
Nope.
But she's going to, but you've told her, feel free. And it's unhealthy to make your mate not be able to talk to somebody.
Yes.
That's so good.
But it also can be unhealthy if they're talking to the wrong person.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when you find a right person that you both trust, that love your marriage, that's somebody to confide in.
Yeah.
And I think some of those things that you're looking for is the thing I've always known is that, Pastor, you never would, you're not trying to rebuke me or correct me for any of your own agenda. Because you've always proven from the beginning that it's not about your agenda or trying to make me into something. You want me out of the box. You want me to be me. So your rebukes or correction or encouragement, because you really love me. So you really tell me the truth because you really care. And I think that's like, when we're talking about friendships and relationships, mentoring relationships, those things are hard to find. And I know probably people listening, it's like, that's a little discouraging because it's hard to find. But when you do, that creates a safety net. I mean, I remember, I can't remember what it was. One of the times you texted Pastor, I was working too much or something.
No. You're kidding.
Maybe that was a couple times.
I'm sure that's never happened.
No.
But I was working a lot and you just.
Redlining.
And I was exhausted.
Pastor Steve knows my code, redlining. That's all he needs to see.
That's it.
Yeah.
Redlining on
and
text.
You were able to say, hey, to Pastor Steve and Lisa of like, I'm worried about him right now. And that next time we talked, Pastor, how you doing? You redlining? Maybe. And we were able to dive into that. But there's an element of trust and belief that this comes from love. I'm not trying to pick at someone or find fault or whatever. It's like we're really trying to make each other better. And it goes nowhere.
It goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And in regards to, as we're defining and describing this relationship, this does not take a lot of time. I'm not taking, none of us are taking a lot of time.
No.
I think people might be thinking,
we're talking every day.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And
this was developed through text, through work hours.
Right.
Through this
building together,
same vision, running alongside of each other,
being hurt.
Yep.
And going through challenges.
Being talked about last Sunday.
That's funny.
About somebody that was talking bad about you in the very beginning. And so did Lisa tell you? She texted me something. I go, who's talking bad about you guys?
Oh yeah, she got defensive.
I was in the Wiley campus. I was in the Wiley campus, so I hadn't heard the message. And so I just see the four of us, we have a group thread.
Right.
and I just see Lisa laughing and saying like, you always have our back, we always have yours, all the like things we are for each other.
And you're getting protective.
And I'm like, who said what?
Right.
Because I hadn't heard the message because it was the 8:30 service.
Yes.
So I'm like, who's saying what about you guys? Like, I'm about to go mama bear on them. Like, tell me who I need to and
12 years ago.
It was 12 years ago. It was 12 years ago, literally. It was a very old story. But it was so funny because she goes, just wait, it's ha ha ha. It was the story from wherever. But your friendship has been tested at times.
Absolutely.
And the relationship has been tested at times. Even 12 years ago, Dee, if you had it in your heart to cause some church split or you could have aligned with somebody who was talking bad. And a lot of that credit goes to your dad who raised you really well too.
Absolutely.
You know, to just be, no, we do not do that. We do not divide. We do not, this is, you are serving Pastor Steve's vision. This is not about yours. And, but that story was so funny about the person who came and talked bad about you to Pastor Steve. And you were like, that was a defining moment, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think it was such a, it felt so, I guess looking back, it's a little scary how easy, and maybe this was like speak to someone too, like how easy it was to like see what they were saying.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, maybe. And it's how poison works, how entanglements and sin
and
work.
even some truth being there. Okay. And it can be all true.
Right.
It's still not in place.
Right.
Oh.
How you, that's really good.
Right.
Yeah.
So it
How you
didn't
deal
matter
with
if it was true or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't, by the way.
I think there was some thread of it, and you take that and you build on it, and then. But as I was thinking, and of course I text him, great message, and something about I got your back too. It was on our
it was on our thread. Yeah,
and so I think about that though, and I do. When you said it was a defining moment, I do think it was a defining moment, because if Dee would have gone with the flow and not stood his ground there, I'm just wondering, would y'all even be here?
I don't think
we wouldn't.
I don't think
we wouldn't.
And I'm sure God works it out and the kingdom would grow. But what's happening here probably isn't that interesting.
It's crazy. Those little steps and little.
But that's trust. That's all building trust. Because when I'm going through a tough time, and I was going through a tough time, you saw Lisa and me going through a tough time, and y'all were able to be there for us, which built trust.
Wow.
We'd already built some trust with you guys, but that was a huge trust builder for us.
Yeah.
And so, and from then on, it's just, so we don't, all that says, we don't hang out. We don't, and it doesn't take a lot of time to have a relationship or healthy relationships. And I know that there are people who want to have more time, and and that's fine. There are other relationships like that. Okay, there's other relationships that you spend a lot of time with people. You don't have to have that in order for it to be a healthy relationship.
Yep.
So
now we
true.
want to spend more time with y'all. We want to. Y'all do too.
Yeah.
But we also understand. When you start looking at y'all's to-do list and all the people who want to spend time with y'all, and and the counseling, and it's
when you're saying that, Pastor, it's interesting to me, the people that
and I feel like I know what you're going to say.
well, I gotta be careful how I say it, because it's not from a bad heart. Maybe it's just like naivety. The people that demand so much of our time and wanting to spend lunches and spend time in meetings and all of that, which is great. We love that. We love spending time with people and doing all that. But they think that it's necessary to be close.
right.
And if they only knew that we had less time
Right.
than they've had, and we're this close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe it's not about the amount of time, but maybe it's the way that we're doing relationships.
Powerful.
And
This is
this
might help
great.
somebody that is not, you have this one perspective of what a friendship is.
right.
And if they don't fit that, you think they're failing you or you don't get enough time with them, but maybe we're just doing it the wrong way.
Right.
And I think you said something really key, building together,
That's
Yeah.
it.
going through hard times
And
together.
withstanding the storms together.
yes.
Yeah.
And I
People
thought,
who are with us to this day that
Right.
were in the original church that
Yes.
I would never think would still be with us.
Yes.
And there are people that have left that I never dreamed would have
Isn't
left.
it amazing?
it's crazy.
And I say
It
that
is.
happily
Right.
because
Right.
I didn't put the value on some
Right.
and I did on others. And everybody has their own journey, obviously.
Right.
But withstanding things together, like I was talking to the Bristers last Sunday, just very quickly in the auditorium. I'm like,
These are people who came the first. So our church is 27 years old. So they came 27 years ago.
I mean, they've been here longer than we have.
Right.
And there they sit. And they're talking to me, and we pray for you, and we
So
love you,
powerful,
and
so faithful.
I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I just am so honored.
Right.
And those are the people that come hell or high water. Like I would be like, okay,
They've got some of the least of our time.
the
Absolutely.
least
But they
of our
have
time.
the most
of our-
trust.
Yeah,
If they ever pick up the phone and call us.
100%.
Right. That's just, it's
That's
like,
your people.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. And they've demanded nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
And not that it's wrong to demand things at sometimes, because that's about the part of the church. But it's not
Right.
about you and I or Pastor Steve and Lisa. It's about, and I feel like as a church, we're functioning very well pastorally. We
Right.
have groups. We have
Yes.
campus
Right.
pastors. We have systems set up.
And people legitimately do have needs for different relationships.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All we're saying is to have the relationship that we have.
Yep.
It doesn't
Don't need-
require a lot of time.
Mhm.
Oh, it does require years.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. It requires
Like a
trials.
long obedience
In the same direction.
Right.
That's so true.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But and if you do have a need,
Yeah.
you're lonely or whatever. We understand that.
Yeah. You got to have.
You have to have.
Mhm.
We have that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we don't need, just personally, I know y'all well enough, you know
Yep.
us well enough. We don't need a whole bunch of that,
Yeah.
and we're blessed with relationships.
We should plan a vacation together.
Let's do
I'm
it.
just like,
Oh,
I'm just
boy.
kind of thinking about that. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Let's do it.
Let's do that. Be our. See, we've had lunch probably like 4 times all together. I'm just joking. I was thinking, just caught not taught.
Yes.
How crazy is that? Just how you stewarded us, Pastor, and that relationship. I was just thinking. I was telling one of our staff members the other day. I said, if you ever have a problem with me, you ever feel like I'm not leading you correctly, or you think I'm overbearing or whatever, I said, you can talk to Pastor Steve.
Mhm.
And I said that, and then I thought, oh my goodness, I bet nobody in this world
Ugh.
has that type of relationship
Mhm.
with a former founding pastor that says, and has the trust level, says, you got a problem, you it's okay to talk about. Like, you can go tell him. And know that you're going to steward that person and that relationship well, and they can vent and they can talk bad about me, they can whatever, and you will have my back. That you will help them and help disciple them. I mean, that's just like it's a crazy thought.
It's crazy.
To think.
And we feel the same way. We feel the same way.
Yeah.
But those are treasured. This is treasure.
Yeah.
These are blessings, and almost feel bad because I know not everybody has it, and not everybody. Yeah, we'll just pray that God will, for people who need it, that God He does orchestrate relationships.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know,
He does.
and we just pray that God will bring just the right relationships in their lives.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to leave old ones to get
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
ones too.
Yeah,
you
you
know, like
I think I'm stuck on the building together thing, and I think maybe that's for people listening. If you're saying, "Man, I need something like this," I would say find something that's in your heart that jumps
Mhm.
that someone else is doing, and help them do it.
Yeah.
Let's go
That's
back to
good.
service. So if you want to be a
That's
good leader, if you want to be the best leader, then be the best servant.
Biblical.
So
Yep.
just serve.
Mhm.
And it's amazing what kind of doors that'll open for friendship because true intentions are shown. It's hard to see intentions these days.
Right.
Everybody's selling something, subscribing to
hustling
something.
and
it's like,
going
man,
to
are
lunch
you my
with
friend or you
somebody.
want me to like buy you or whatever?
Yep.
And
say Don't say what it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell. So I
Right.
think like when you are selfless and you give more than you take, you can really start to build something. For anybody listening, I think you can really build something beautiful with people in your life. And Gary Vaynerchuk, I was telling you about that last night. Gary V, he's secular,
He loves
leader.
the F word.
He loves that.
Oh man, he loves the F
He
word.
does.
He's got some really great points.
Yes, he does.
One of his main.
Surrounding all of his F words.
I agree.
Sometimes you need the
The
emphasis.
problem is, I was following me,
Well,
and
your
he's on the
little
story, and
grandson's in
people were behind me, like in the pastor sense, and he's like, "F." Okay, go ahead, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Well, one of his main mantras is he talks about 49-51, that he said he will always give 51% in a relationship and expect 49. That he's always going to
That's
give
really good.
something more to someone than he's going to take. And I think the problem with a lot of our relationships
So good.
is we are looking to take. I need a friend for what? I need a friend because I need this or I need that. And I think building together, it flips that upside down to a point where you're actually saying, how can I help you?
Right.
How can I be a friend? How can I show myself friendly? How can I be trustworthy? And you give the 50-51
So good.
and you start finding some of those things
Yeah.
that you're looking for. And I think that's how it happened for both of us. You wanted the best for us.
Right.
Yeah.
We wanted the best for y'all. And then we found ourselves in a real solid friendship.
Really good.
And I love what Pastor said though, and it was years.
Years. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Years
does,
and
yeah.
years and years. And like none of us are cynical people. I feel like I was cynical. I'm walking out of cynicism in a lot of ways, as you both know. But I think a lot of people just expect trust like off the bat and vice versa, not just,
Right.
and I think you can love people and not trust.
Mhm.
You don't have to tell everybody all of your information. I don't have to tell everybody everything about Dustin. I don't have to tell everybody all of my doubts. I don't have to tell everybody, there's just this, things play out over years and years and years. And that's what we have with you guys. And I'm so grateful for that. So, so grateful. And for the people who crave it, that don't have it, what would you pastors say?
Well, I would start by, I don't mean this to be a pile-on word at all, but start with looking at yourself. Are there areas in your life that you need to be healed in? Are there areas that you're unhealthy in? And not all solitude or loneliness is because you're unhealthy,
Right.
but there are times
Yep.
that you know why someone doesn't have friends,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
because they are not healthy.
Yeah.
And so maybe literally go to somebody who's not you're not one to be their friend, okay, and ask, is there anything in me practically that I can do to be a better friend, or I can do to be more winsome? Do you see something in me? Because we all want to get better. We all want to be healthy, but we're not all healthy yet.
Right.
Okay, we're getting healthier.
Right.
Okay. But that's one of the things I would do, go to a trustworthy, somebody who's healthy, somebody who you're not wanting to be their best friend, and just say, I'm really lonely. I want to have more friends. I want to have deeper relationships.
I can't seem to connect with people.
Yes. Could you?
Everybody.
Honestly, just the three of us just sitting here. If Lisa was here, the four of us, if somebody came to us and we knew them in just not a great way, but we kind of knew them, we could probably help those people.
One of the girls on our staff was just talking about one of her family members to me this week. And she was like, the same patterns, the same mountains, the same loss of friendship. I've seen my mom for decades. And it's everybody else's fault. And
That's
that's
so
like,
sad.
so that speaks to
That's
what you're
sad.
saying. It's
Yes.
like, I mean, there are lots of ways I need to shore up being a better friend.
Yeah, we're all,
But, yeah.
and we're all working on it.
Right.
But sometimes you got to get somebody that sees your blind
Mhm.
spots.
Yeah.
But you got to be
So
willing
good.
to hear it.
You got to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So answer that with an emphasis on males.
Yeah. I think, and we deal with this all the time, but I think for men, like from what I have learned and am learning is from Pastor Steve specifically, but the sitting in that confidence is not ever having a problem. But sitting in the confidence is being able to realize I do have insufficiencies. I do have weaknesses, but it's okay I can talk about them.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think like even for me as a pastor, meeting with men, sometimes it's like
Best foot forward.
best foot forward. And so how can I help you if you you cover all of your wounds and tell me you're healthy
And you just want to
and you
go hunting for,
And-
you just want to be hunty buddies or something.
well, that sounds fun too.
Well,
but-
yeah,
Right,
of course.
no matter
but,
what.
But yeah,
that is kind of that
If
is
you got a
actually real
ranch,
work.
if you got a ranch, the answer is yes.
I just took the
Always.
thing you like the most out of this.
Yeah.
But
Right, but they can be bleeding out
Yeah.
and their wife can be asking for help.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then you sit down and talk to them
And they got
say,
no problems.
Yeah, I think things are going pretty good. And so it's like how if you want a deep relationship, you're gonna have to drop the walls and be authentic.
Yep.
And I think that takes time to trust. Like I had to learn how to trust. But I've told Pastor, I mean, the deepest, darkest, secrets, dark days, feels like quitting, feel like, and I can be honest with it, but he can only help me to the level of vulnerability and honesty. I can tell him all day, things are fine, great, yeah, good. Let's go hunting, whatever. But this is deeper than that. And I think we both had deeper levels of relationship because of deeper levels of authenticity and vulnerability. So I would say to the men is, and not just to anybody, but you got to find somebody that you can drop your armor with and take the facades off and just say, man, I'm doubting, or I'm struggling in my relationship with God, or man, my marriage is not what I want it to be. I feel like I'm a disappointment, whatever those things are. There's freedom, not even in the advice you'll get on the other side of that. There's a lot of freedom in being in a place that you can just be honest and say it.
It's so good.
So I think like for guys, maybe the default is just to find a bro.
Pluck
and
bro.
Just like have a good time. Which is good. Important. You need that type of friend. But there's deeper friendships, I think, that are available by finding somebody that maybe is running after the same things you're running after.
Yeah, that's right on top of that. Lisa and I have come to a point to where we really don't have a lot of time for relationships that are not advancing the kingdom. I just, we're not interested in shallow relationships anymore.
Yeah. Wow.
We've had our friendships. We've had we all, and it's, I guess we're kind of, I don't know what to say, but we just are not going to spend. So I'm 58 now. She's 56. We're not going to spend the rest of our lives doing things and being with people that are not advancing the kingdom.
Yeah.
We want to have deep talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so when we go bro to bro and I'm meeting with somebody and they're doing that and I'm like, bro, here's the deal. I'm not doing this.
I know you probably said
right.
This.
If you want help, talk.
Yep.
You know,
There's
want help,
plenty of other
open
people
up.
that'll bro out with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the whole accountability of digging deep for somebody, and if your accountability consists of people have to check you and verify
Baby
what
you.
you're saying and dig it out of you, and it's not accountability.
Right.
It's babysitting.
And it's not,
Bishop T.D. Jakes says there's a difference between being like the child, because people use like babies in the faith, and he's like being like growing and like needing a diaper.
It's true. Right. Hello.
If you're not growing out of the diaper, like this is not
I ain't
working
into
well.
changing diapers.
Right.
We're done.
Yeah.
And so
or you'll change the diapers if they come full frontal diaper at you.
Yes.
But people hide the diapers.
Yes.
And they're just like, oh yeah, everything's fine and fine. Yeah, no time for that.
Right. So somebody who wants to be real, somebody who's hurting, somebody who will help.
Yeah.
We want to help.
Absolutely.
I know y'all are saying we don't have a lot of time to to just try to dig and if you're that person that people are having to dig, then you're not in a healthy place.
Right.
You and your relationships are not going to be healthy. And then furthermore, if I do end up digging, because of I value this person. Maybe they're not used to opening up and sharing, and I dig, and then you bite my hand, you growl at me, you get mad at me, you talk about whatever, then you looked a gift horse in the mouth. I was there, Dustin was there, Jamie was there, Lisa was there. We want to help you. We dig, we're trying to help you, and then you don't like it, and then it's not going to be healthy. I don't know. I don't know if that's
So I think it's good, Pastor. And I was just thinking about times that we have been. So obviously we keep each other accountable. We check up on each other. You check up on me. Hey, how you doing? Whatever the things. Most of the time, in our times maybe of deepest struggle, it was not the other person asking us how we're doing.
100%.
It was us saying, will you pray for me? I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I feel stressed. I'm tired. I'm whatever it is. Which I think that could help some people.
Yep.
That it's pastor's
And it
not like,
wasn't always
okay,
over
Dustin, are
poor
you okay?
Richards.
Are you okay? Are you
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah.
Are you okay?
Mhm.
It's hey, pastor, I'm
This is-
in my head this
Yep.
week. I'm feeling
Yep.
discouraged, and we pray together and we talk about it.
And follow up.
Follow up.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's not like major follow up. It might be a text.
It's a text.
It
Yeah.
might be I
Yeah.
seen before staff meeting. Hey,
Most
how you
people
doing?
know the advice they need anyways. They just need a place to, or Dustin, that's very your personality is you already know what needs to happen and what you need to do. You just need a safe place
Mhm.
to say it, I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of the times. There was this intern class one time and there were like 2 different girls in it. And one of the girls came up and was like, called to teach, called to preach, called to lead ministry, all the great things. I'm all the great things, this and that. My parents were this, my parents were that. And there was just all the facades and all the walls and all the things. And I was just like, okay, well, this is going to be a tough one to get into what you're here for a reason, and there's just all of the things on the outside. And right after I still remember in building name, I was leaving her, and you all would know this girl to this day, but I was leaving out that side door where those school rooms are now. And this other girl in the internship came up to me. She goes, okay, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Pastor Jamie. Addicted to porn.
Yeah, just straight up.
I don't even know how many sex partners.
Right. Just straight up.
Probably need to get STD tested before I start internship. I have no idea any books of the Bible.
Yeah.
I am the hottest mess you will ever meet. And I go, you're my girl.
Absolutely.
Right?
You are
Is
so
that
ready.
not
Oh, yeah,
right?
it's true.
I go, I'll take you 1,000
100
days
times.
over. Not because I have a savior complex, because we're here to help. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
being pastoral.
I do want to say, in
Yeah, what?
addition, in our relationship, y'all know that we pray for y'all,
Mm-hmm.
and we know y'all pray for us.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Lisa is like the encourager of all encouragers. So she
man,
she
the
lets you
best.
know
The
that she's
best.
praying and what verse she's praying over
Yep.
you and
Yeah.
what she's believing. And I'm agreeing with her. Okay. And so, but y'all know,
Mhm.
and there's something about that too. It's
Yeah.
not that we just have each other's backs, but
Right.
we in the spirit realm we pray for each other.
Right.
We're believing. We're y'all know our kids. You're praying for our kids. Like I can say, hey, one of my children is, and y'all are going to pray.
Yeah.
And you could talk about your children. We'll pray, and
Yep.
so I think prayer is a good part.
I think
of our
that's
relationship
powerful,
as well.
Pastor. And I think I was actually talking with Pastor John this morning, and school ministry just kicked off, and he asked me, he said, okay, Pastor, we got these school ministry students. Like, what are some of the leadership qualities that you want to see in them at the end of 12 months? Like,
That's a good question.
What do you
Great
want
question.
Yeah, good question. And I was just thinking, and I said, you know what, John, and I told him some things. I said, but there's one thing that I think is just totally lost, is that we just don't pray with people enough. I want them to not rely on me to pray for somebody, but if someone's having a hard time, I don't want them to just give them good counsel. Oh, hey, you're gonna make it, baby girl, keep your faith, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, will you pray?
Right.
And I can remember. I mean, I could count countless times where I'm stressed, I'm having a difficult time, and you and Lisa are warring over us,
100,
praying.
yeah.
And that's an interesting layer of deep relationship that is, even when we're not hanging out, we have each other's backs in a spiritual way.
Right.
Yeah.
In that we're holding each other up.
Yep.
And that's why I was telling you, I want them just to be able to say, man, I'm feeling kind of anxious, instead of like, well, these, take this and do this and this. Can I pray for you?
Absolutely.
That we just turn to the Lord and we start. I mean, it's old school. We're talking about recently, the old school,
Yes.
is making a comeback.
It is.
Is like, man, we just got to pray for people, stand and believe God to break through in their hearts and lives. And so we were talking about that, getting fired up, that just, man, let's teach them to just contend for each other's breakthrough. And James says, this is all over the Bible, that we pray for one another and confess your sins one another and pray.
Yes.
That you might be healed.
So good.
I mean, it's everywhere. We lose sight of that sometimes in our own in our own intentionality to try to just counsel with good wisdom or connection.
it might be one of the reasons why we don't have to spend a lot of time every week, because we are in the spirit room.
Yeah.
And we always joke in our group thread, like, we got your back, but it's more than just having our back in the physical.
Absolutely.
It's the spiritual as well.
I don't know if we're coming to the closer, but
we are.
Okay.
But go ahead.
This is a funny one. I remember when we did a marriage conference together, and one of the breakout sessions where it was on intimacy, and I think it was sizzle not fizzle. I think or some. It was some kind of intimacy, and
for those listening who don't know, Pastor Steve and Lisa are professionals when it comes to intimacy.
Yeah,
not in the spirit.
I don't know. Pastors
I don't know about that.
Really,
don't know about that, but we're working on it. Okay, so and so we broke the guys, the husbands and the wives in separate rooms, and so. You and I think we talked to the guys. They talked to the girls. Okay, then we switched. And Lisa reminds me, she goes, I remember, she goes, we were running over.
Yeah, and, Lisa and I together running.
Yeah, and running. And the time, and Lisa looked at Jamie, said, do you want to start with the guys? And Jamie said, no, I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you.
I remember that marriage conference because that's the first time I really heard you talk about sexual intimacy. And I had a seat on the stage. So it was like, I don't know, it was at the Outback and you were speaking and I was sitting right there. And
were you turning red?
Well, I didn't know yet how
graphic
you were going to be. So I was up there and we had some of the interns in there.
That's so funny. Yes.
And you were just laying it out.
Oh yeah.
And I was sitting there on the stage thinking, well, okay, this is how we're gonna do this. It was good.
We believe in helping people.
Yeah. I'm better for it.
Yeah. And
we all are, yes.
And we were so glad this last marriage conference, y'all got the sex talk and we got the parenting.
Did we
yes.
really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember.
Y'all took the sex talk and we did the parenting.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, yes.
Well, and all of the things I don't remember, but whatever it was we said, I'm sure we took from
Totally.
But it is interesting. A lot of churches don't teach. You know, and we got
it's one of the most important things.
But, we, and I know y'all do the same thing. And as we have counseled and done premarital counseling, we want to equip our young people for intimacy in every way. And we don't want them Googling, how to have a good sex or something. That's
and be taught in church.
It's something the church should be doing. And so
that's something I tell a lot of the young people when we're talking about sex life and whatever, intimacy, marriage, all that. I said, Pastor Steve and Lisa have been married a long time and they're still getting it. So if you want tips, you need to ask them.
I tell people there's a reason Dustin moved his office.
Yeah. Oh Lord, Lisa, did you hear that, Lisa?
Yours had been tainted. D took over Pastor Steve's office originally until he heard a couple stories. He's like, I'm out of here. Now Pastor Keon's in it.
I had to sell the desk though.
This is all embellishing right here. This is all embellishing. None of this is true.
Perfect. It's poetic perfection that this talk is ending on sex with the two of you. Oh my goodness, classic. Oh, well, Pastor, thank you for doing this. We love you, obviously.
Yes, we do.
We all know that by now. We love each other. Grateful for you. There's been times where I've texted you at night and said, please keep your ringer on in case I need you.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful to have somebody that I can say that to. And I just pray that for the people who crave it, and are looking for it. And if you're in Texas, our campus pastors are incredible and they're available. And we have an online campus. And you said it best, like, we just want to help people.
Yeah.
We have a lot of
I've been helped. We just want to help people.
And we have a lot of good leaders.
We do.
That can help as well.
We do.
Your subtitle for this could be The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yep.
Because that's what we've been through.
Yep.
That's what ministry is. It's the good, bad, and the ugly. And there's great joys and there's great sorrows. There's great victories and there's great challenges. And, in your marriage, if you walk those out, in relationships, if you walk those out, you will see yourself 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and you will have that relationship that you're seeking. But it does take the valleys and it takes the mountaintops and working together.
So good.
On a common goal. So
I'm glad we get to go through all of ours together.
Me too.
We love you.
Yeah,
many more years to come.
Many more decades.
More mountains than valleys.
Oh, all the mountains, Lord. Give us all the mountains.
We love you guys and love being here and love doing ministry with y'all and life with you guys.
We love you too.
Great job, guys. Killed it.
Amen.
Killed
Amen.
it.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's fun.
How about the bang the toe?
Oh, you should have. It's still running.
Dude, we can totally come back. Okay, everybody, we're back.
Okay, so
he's going now.
Let's both tell. Let's
worst.
both tell
Okay.
our
One.
worst.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to tell yours?
Okay, so mine
on the stage. They're about to tell you their worst faux pas.
Oh man.
So mine
From the stage.
Mine was first, and I thought
I was watching online,
and I thought that I would.
This was in the freshman.
I thought it would be
remember
the winner forever. But you'll have to judge if it's the win because after
you guys
Pastor
let us know.
Dustin
Let us
If
hears
you're listening to this with children, please put your headphones on.
yes,
This is adult content.
And so I was telling an illustration about a guy that always is praising the Lord, no matter if he's hurting himself. And I said, honestly, his wife told me the other night, and that he, got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. It was dark, and I meant to say he banged his toe, and he said, "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus." But I said inadvertently, he banged his hoe. Okay. And so I kept preaching.
Pastor.
I kept preaching.
Yeah,
and I was
you kept going. Did you know you said it when you said it?
Well, it was
Give
two more
sentences. The pastor's
sentences.
brain one day.
And after 2 more sentences, I said, "Did I just say that?" And the play stopped. I mean, it was a stop down, and it was really hard to recover from. I don't know if anybody got saved that Sunday or not, but and so a few years later, I'm in Wiley, and I'm not going to tell the thing. I'm in Wiley, and the Dustin had already preached the first service. My son helped us. All of our kids helped us start the Wiley campus. And he came up to me and he said, Have you heard the message Pastor Dustin yet? and I said, no. He goes, "Oh, Dad, you are going to love it." And he told me this story.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, as some of you guys know, I can get passionate when I'm preaching. And so we were at the end of the message, and everybody's excited. We're fired up. And I said, we are the living, and I meant to say, we are the living organism of Jesus Christ. Talking about the church. But
in a moment of passion.
In a moment of passion.
Moment of passion. Moment of passion.
Moment of passion.
Moment of passion.
I said, we are the living orgasm of Jesus.
I can't even.
And I couldn't even go on. I was like,
"Oh, there's no recovery
hey, y'all,
from
like
that.
That just happened."
There's no recovery.
The place went. I mean, I don't know if it's ever. I mean, the place
never
came
erupted.
unglued. It was hilarious.
Oh my God. Well, I think a part of it too, why people came unglued, is because you stopped and were like, "Okay, y'all,
It's
I said
over."
it.
Yeah,
it's over.
I mean,
You can't.
there's no
pretend
coming
like
back
you didn't
from
say
that.
it. There's no coming back.
It's on video. It's being streamed to campuses. It's over.
No, I will say this. Just as Dustin, you would know Dustin, he was immediately talking to Ryan. And when we got it at Wiley,
It was out.
Yes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
They edited it out.
Oh, yes. And I was waiting because I was like ready, and I didn't get to experience it.
Ryan, thank you for saving my life in ministry.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. We need to know. Okay, comment below.
Comment
We
below.
need to
What was
know
the worst story?
whose was worse.
Oh man, good
Oh,
times.
man.
Glad we're going out laughing.
Oh, bonus content.
Love you guys, both my pastors, right here.
Fun
Love you.
times. Love you guys. Thank
Pastor
you.
Dustin, Pastor Zeve, and me, we're out. Texas forever.